March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. A forum on special education was hosted recently by a group of Barbadian teachers involved in a postgraduate program with the Ministry of Education's Higher Education Unit. Senator Kerry-Ann Ifill is president of the upper chamber in the House of Assembly of Barbados. Senator Ifill is a dynamic young lady who is blind. She was one of the specially invited guests at the forum and shared her views on some aspects of the current culture as it relates to disabilities in Barbados.
Persons need to be made more aware of the challenges, because I wouldn't say disability doesn't have challenges, it does. All of us that live with disabilities, whether it is as a person that actually has one, an educator, a parent of a child with a disability, the sibling of a person with a disability, we all live with the challenges and the difficulties of that disability. But I am more than my disability. Kwame is far more than his disability. Miss Lashley is more than her son's or her daughter's disability. Miss St. Hill is also more than her children's disabilities. What we are all people. And sometimes I don't think society recognizes enough that we are a part of the society too. I don't need to talk about what it is living with blindness all the time. Why? Because people assume that's all I'm going to talk about. So they start to tune out. There are radio programs, they're twice weekly now and have been for years about, and they're always interviewing people with disabilities. There are newspaper articles on average once a month, but it's far more often than that, written by persons with disabilities, about persons with disabilities. Up to yesterday, Oscar Pistorius was in a newspaper again about, so it's not that people aren't hearing enough about it. I think part of the problem is they're still seeing us as a them, as a those. What people need to recognize is, I am a woman with a disability. I have the same gynecological challenges as any other woman. I have the same hair crisis. You know, as we black women here. I had to get up 5 o'clock Wednesday morning to wash this mass on my head. You know, it had nothing to do with being blind. It had to do with the fact that I got quite a bit of hair behind here to deal with. You know what I'm talking about? So when we talking about our hair, all of us, we can sit down here and talk about various types of hair drama we've had. And eventually, you will stop thinking about me as a blind woman and realize I'm a woman just like you, living with the same challenges that you live with. When you start to recognize me that way, when you start to realize that Kwame is a 16, 17-year-old young man who has the same needs, interests, and desires as any other young man, and you stop focusing on how Kwame is coping with his blindness, focus on how Kwame is coping with being a young man. His blindness is secondary to that, or at least it should be in some respects. It is not that it doesn't make a difference to how you live, it does. But when people start recognizing those things, that would also go a far way in helping people to realize. Let me explain what I mean. When you realize that the woman coming to this PTA meeting today, Mr. Gibbs, is in a wheelchair. The mother of one of the students is in a wheelchair. You're not going to have your meeting upstairs because you're going to recognize Miss So-and-so is coming to the meeting and she is going to be included. If Miss So-and-so never comes out to the meeting, then why are you going to move it downstairs? If Miss So-and-so never writes and says, look, I tried to go to the meeting last time, because I want to know what's going on in class 3 with my children. I don't see them getting enough homework. I don't see this. I don't hear this. I don't that. Then the disability becomes secondary because the challenge is her as a parent. You understand what I'm coming from? So it's not just about hearing, because people get tired about hearing it. And you know what? People form their own conclusions. They don't know how they would cope with being blind. So no matter how many times, I had a conversation with a woman once. She's standing in front of me, sofa, and she'd accompanied a blind man to my office. She said she wants to buy him a washing machine. The guy says, but I like washing clothes by hand. I feel you need a washing machine. He says, but I don't have anything to do when the days come. I like to wash my clothes. But it ain't right for a blind man to have to wash his clothes by hand. And then she tells my colleague, she says, I admire her so much. I said, thank you. I think she's dressed so good. I said, thank you. I would like to tell her how lovely she looked the other day. You get right, but no matter what I said, no matter what that man said, she wasn't listening. And we encounter that on a day-to-day basis. Legislation is necessary. I can tell you that it's currently being drafted. And I hope it will come to fruition next year. It's being worked on right now. That being said, legislation is not going to solve the problems that we're sitting down here and discussing, because legislation does not make people human beings. It does not give people intelligence. If it did, then the unemployment rate among the disabled in the US would still not be at 70% as it was in 1990, when they enabled the Americans with Disabilities Act. You wouldn't have persons who are disabled still being paid 25 cents an hour when they're working in certain environments, because their employers, up until this year, I think it's changed now, but their employers were allowed to waive a clause and pay them below sub-minimum wage. So legislation is not going to solve all of our problems. What we really need is people to do what Ms. Christian over here is talking about, empowering people. And let me just say this too. I have to say that too many of us look at the problem directly in front of us and don't look at the problems that are going to come down the road. Too many parents, I've been around this for too long, too many parents, when they have their child, they find out their child has a disability, they start panicking. And that's cool, because you're going to panic when you encounter something you don't understand. But I find that too many of them, when they get the first solution to their problem, they stop fighting. They don't go to the PTA meetings. They don't participate in the activities. How many teachers of children with special needs do you see out there on the front lines working on other issues just than just the special ed programs? Ms. St. Hill got her children to do some CXCs this year because she's looking down the pathway. She's looking further down the line about what's going to happen to them after they leave me. But not enough people are looking at that. They're just looking at how am I going to deal with this one in front of me now. And I find that because of that, you have parents, they get their challenges met when the child is 6. They forget that the child is going to reach 16 or 18. So nothing is in place for young adults with disabilities, right? So that is another challenge that we face. Legislation cannot solve the problem. All the legislation in the world is not going to make people realize, if we don't get out there and not just have these sessions. This is not the first session I've sat in like this among teachers or among students of some sort. When this lesson is over, what are you taking away with you? What are you going to do with what you have? Not just call-in programs, because frankly, I don't listen to them. Because it's one person usually calling every day, complaining about something different every single day. What else are you going to do in your community? How many other things are we going to work on as a group to make change? Change has to start with every individual recognizing that there needs to be change. When you go into the parking areas and you see people parking in the disabled parking, are you going to do it like Miss St. Hill? Or are you going to get back in your car after and say, I can't believe that body went parking through. I can't believe. If you continue to not believe, then they're going to continue to do it, because nobody is challenging